Welcome to Crime Stories for Sleeping. I know your mind won't quiet. Your eyes fight to stay open. But tonight, let my voice carry you away. Somewhere in the dark, there's an unsolved mystery, a locked room, a missing witness, and the rain. Always the rain. Close your eyes now. The story begins. In 3, 2, 1.
Story number 1, The Locked Room. Chapter 1, The Bloody Ledger. Rain drummed against the penthouse windows, each drop exploding like a tiny gunshot. Detective Evelyn Cross stepped out of the elevator into the marble foyer, her boots squeaking on polished stone. The air smelled of lemon cleaner and something darker beneath, copper maybe. Blood. Cross. Her partner, Detective Malik Ruiz, stood by the study door. It was solid oak with a brass handle, the kind that whispered money and secrets. "It's still locked?" Evelyn asked, though she already knew the answer. From the inside, Malik confirmed, housekeeper says Voss always locked it when he worked. Spare key opened the knob, but the deadbolt was still engaged. Evelyn snapped on gloves and pushed the door open. The study was a museum of wealth and violence. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a Persian rug thick enough to swallow footsteps, and in the center of it all, Richard Voss. He sat slumped over his desk, one arm outstretched toward the phone. His other hand still clutched a fountain pen, the nib cracked from the force of his grip. His head was tilted slightly, just enough to show the hole in his forehead. Neat, precise, no exit wound, a professional's shot. No gun on the desk, no gun on the floor. Evelyn crouched beside the body, the blood spatter fanned out behind Voss's skull, painting the leather chair and the wall in a dark constellation. "Spatter's wrong for suicide," she muttered. Malik leaned over her shoulder, angles too wide, and no GSR on his hands. No gunshot residue, he didn't pull the trigger. Evelyn's gaze dropped to the desk. A crystal tumbler of whiskey, half full, a Mont Blanc pen set, and under Voss's elbow, a ledger, black leather, the edges worn soft. She tugged it free, careful not to smudge the bloody fingerprints on the cover. Inside, columns of numbers, initials, dates. And on the last page, a single line in frantic, jagged script. "They know about the shipment. If I'm dead, it's..." The sentence ended mid-word. "Cross." Malik's voice was tight. He pointed to the desk drawer. It was slightly ajar, the lock picked. Evelyn pulled it open. Empty. Something was taken. Behind them, the housekeeper, a gaunt woman in a grey uniform, hovered in the doorway. "I cleaned in here last night," she whispered. "That book wasn't there." Evelyn studied her. "You're sure?" The woman's fingers twisted in her apron. "Mr. Voss kept his desk bare. Said clutter was for lazy minds." A tech called from the hallway. "Detective? You'll want to see this." In the bathroom trash can, wrapped in a towel, was a .22 pistol. One bullet missing. Chapter 2, The Missing Bullet. The morgue's fluorescent lights buzzed like a trapped insect. Evelyn hated autopsy rooms, not because of the bodies, but because of the truths they forced into the open. Dr. Silas Nguyen peeled back the sheet covering Richard Voss's corpse. The Y-incision stitches stood out stark against his pale skin. "Time of death," Evelyn said, "between midnight and 2 a.m. Silas nodded. "Based on liver temp and rigor, yes. But here's what's interesting." He turned Voss's head, revealing the bullet wound. No stippling around the entry. The gun wasn't pressed to his skin, it was fired from at least 3 feet away. So much for suicide. Malik leaned against the stainless steel table. "Any defensive wounds?" "None, but look at this." Silas lifted Voss's right hand, spreading the fingers. Petechial hemorrhaging under the nails. He was in a struggle before he died. Evelyn's pulse ticked up. With who? Not who. What? Silas pried open Voss's mouth, revealing a faint white residue on his tongue. Preliminary tox screen shows traces of diazepam, enough to disorient him, not enough to kill him. Someone wanted him compliant. Drugged, then executed. Malik flipped open his notepad. "The gun in the bathroom?" "22 caliber, Silas said, "but the bullet in Voss's skull is a 9mm. That pistol didn't kill him. Evelyn exhaled sharply. A staged scene. Chapter 3. The Warehouse. The docks reeked of salt and diesel. Evelyn pulled her coat tighter as she approached the warehouse, Malik a step behind. The ledger's shipping codes had led them here, to a crumbling brick building with a rusted padlock. Malik broke the lock with a bolt cutter. The door groaned open, revealing darkness. Evelyn flicked on her flashlight. The beam cut through the dust, illuminating rows of wooden crates. She pried one open. Inside, vials of clear liquid glinted in the light. Pharmaceuticals, Malik said. Stolen? Probably. Evelyn checked the label. This is experimental stuff, not even FDA approved yet. A sound echoed from the back of the warehouse. A footstep. Evelyn drew her gun. Police, show yourself. Silence, then a cough. They moved deeper into the shadows. The beam of Evelyn's flashlight landed on a figure slumped against the wall. Carl Brennan. His throat was slit, his hands bound behind his back. A single 9mm casing gleamed near his feet. Evelyn crouched beside the body. Same caliber that killed Voss. Malik shone his light on Brennan's pockets. Wallet still here, not a robbery. Evelyn spotted a scrap of paper clutched in Brennan's fist. She pried it free. A single word, scrawled in blood. Lena. Chapter 4. The Frame Job. The precinct was quiet, the night shift grinding through paperwork. Evelyn spread the crime scene photos across her desk. Voss's study, the warehouse, Brennan's body. Malik dropped a file in front of her. Background check on Lena Voss. You're gonna love this. Evelyn opened it. Bank records, large withdrawals. A wire transfer to an offshore account 2 days before Voss's death. She was moving money, Evelyn said. More than that. Malik tapped a page. She owns a shell company, same one listed in the ledger. Evelyn's phone buzzed. A text from the lab. Prints on the .22 match Officer Daniel Greer. Greer, the housekeeper's son. Evelyn stood. We need to bring Greer in. Malik hesitated. There's something else. He pulled an evidence bag from his desk, a 9mm pistol. Found this in my locker. I didn't put it there. Evelyn stared at him. You're being framed. Malik's jaw tightened. Or you think I am. Chapter 5. The Widow's Confession. Lena Voss's penthouse was cold, the windows reflecting the city lights like distant stars. She stood by the fireplace, a glass of wine in her hand. You killed him, Evelyn said. Lena sipped her wine. I didn't pull the trigger. But you drugged him. A shrug. He was going to ruin everything. The shipments, the money, all of it. Evelyn stepped closer. Greer was your fall guy. You planted the gun, paid him to clean up. Lena smiled. Prove it. The elevator dinged. Malik stepped out, Greer in cuffs. Greer's face was pale. She promised me money, said it was just a scare. Lena's smile vanished. Evelyn held up the ledger. It's over. Lena lunged, not for Evelyn, but for the balcony door. Malik tackled her, pinning her to the floor. As the cuffs clicked shut, Evelyn looked at the ledger again. One page was torn out. The conspiracy was bigger than Voss, bigger than Lena, and it was still out there. The end. Story number 2, The Vanishing Act. Chapter 1, The Empty Vault. Detective Claire Mercer hated magic shows. The illusions, the misdirection, it was all just lies dressed in glitter. But tonight, the biggest trick of all had happened without an audience. The vault door of the First National Bank stood wide open. No alarms triggered, no guards down. Just a gaping hole where $20 million in uncut diamonds should have been. Claire crouched inside the vault, her flashlight beam catching a single playing card on the floor. The ace of spades. Security footage? She asked, slipping the card into an evidence bag. Her partner, Detective Ray Santos, shook his head. Cut at 2:17 a.m., right when the motion sensors went offline. Claire turned the card over. On the back, in elegant script, a gift for your trouble. Chapter 2. The Magician's Secret. The autopsy of the bank's night guard revealed no signs of struggle, just a tiny puncture mark on his neck. Tetrodotoxin, the medical examiner said. Pufferfish venom. Paralyzes you, but keeps you conscious. Claire's stomach turned, so he watched them take the diamonds. Ray checked the guard's phone records. One call last night, from a burner, but he received a text a week ago. The show begins at midnight. The bank manager, sweating through his shirt, admitted, "We insured the diamonds last month. Policy paid out yesterday." Claire's fingers tightened around the ace. This wasn't a heist. It was a performance. Chapter 3. The Theatre. The abandoned majestic theatre smelled of dust and old velvet. Claire's flashlight lit up a stage set with a replica of the bank vault, flawless down to the security panel. Ray kicked over a trunk. Inside, blueprints, guard uniforms, and a vial of clear liquid. Tetrodotoxin, Claire muttered. A shadow moved in the wings. Claire drew her gun. Freeze! A man stepped into the light, lean, silver-haired, with a smile like a knife. "Detectives," he said, "you're just in time for the finale." Chapter 4. The Partner's Betrayal. Back at the precinct, Claire studied the ace of spades under UV light, hidden in the ink, coordinates. Ray hesitated. "Claire, I know that magician." Her blood went cold. "His name's Elias Vaughn. We worked together, before I became a cop." Claire stood slowly. "You set this up." Ray pulled a diamond from his pocket. "They threatened my family. I just had to disable the alarms." Outside, sirens wailed. Elias Vaughn was gone. Chapter 5. The Disappearing Man. The coordinates led to a storage unit. Inside, 1 diamond, 1 note. The real trick is making you chase the wrong prize. Asterisk, Claire stared at the empty highway beyond the chain-link fence. Somewhere, Elias and the $20 million were vanishing into the dawn. Ray's cuffs clicked behind her, but Claire knew. The game wasn't over. Elias had left the ace for a reason, and she'd be damned if she'd let him deal the next card. The end. Story number 3, The Silent Witness. Chapter 1. The Drowning Girl. Detective Nathan Cole hated the river. It smelled like rotting fish and diesel fuel, and it always brought him the worst kinds of cases. The girl lay on the muddy bank, her skin pale under the flashing lights of the patrol cars. She was young, maybe 16, with dark hair plastered to her face. Her blue dress was torn at the shoulder, and her left hand was clenched into a fist. "Who found her?" Nathan asked, crouching beside the body. A fisherman in a yellow raincoat shifted nervously. "Me. Thought she was a log at first." Nathan nodded to the medical examiner. Dr. Lorna Shaw peeled back the girl's eyelids, then frowned. "Pupils are pinpoints. She was drugged before she went into the water." Nathan spotted something in the girl's fist. He pried her fingers open. A single black chess piece. A knight. Chapter 2. The Boarding House. The girl's name was Emily Riker. She lived at the Crestwood boarding house, a crumbling Victorian with peeling paint and a broken front step. The landlady, Mrs. Hargrove, wrung her hands as Nathan questioned her. Emily was quiet, never any trouble. "Any visitors?" Nathan asked. Mrs. Hargrove hesitated. "A man came by last week, asked for her by name." Description: tall, dark hair, wore a nice suit. Nathan's partner, Detective Mara Voss, flipped through Emily's journal. She wrote about a chess club. Met every Thursday at the library. Nathan turned the chess piece in his fingers. "Let's pay them a visit." Chapter 3. The Chess Club. The library was silent except for the ticking of a grandfather clock. 4 teenagers sat at a table, their game frozen mid-play. Nathan held up the knight. "Anyone recognize this?" A red-haired boy paled. "That's Emily's. She always played black." Mara leaned in. "Who was she playing against last week?" The kids exchanged glances. "Some new guy," a girl muttered. "Called himself the Professor." Nathan's phone buzzed. The medical examiner's report. Emily had a lethal dose of fentanyl in her system. And under her nails, skin cells. Someone had fought with her before she died. Chapter 4. The Professor. The DNA under Emily's nails matched a man named Victor Cray, a disgraced math teacher with a record of stalking students. His apartment was empty except for a chessboard set up on the kitchen table. The white pieces were arranged for checkmate. Mara picked up a pawn. He left in a hurry. Nathan checked the bedroom. A corkboard hung on the wall, covered in photos of Emily. And a newspaper clipping, another drowning victim 2 months ago. Same age, same dark hair. Nathan's stomach twisted. This wasn't the first time. Chapter 5. The End Game. The riverbank was slick with rain. Victor Cray stood at the water's edge, his suit perfectly pressed. "You're too late," he said, smiling. "The game is already over." Nathan drew his gun. "It ends now." Cray laughed. "You don't even know how many pieces are on the board." A splash behind them. Mara had circled around, her weapon drawn. "Checkmate," she said. Cray's smile faded as the cuffs closed around his wrists. But as they led him away, Nathan couldn't shake the feeling. The game wasn't over, and the river wasn't done giving up its secrets. The end.